Hey there, this is Malorian, and this is going to be the intro to the 2014 Out of the Basement tournament. Now, this one is going to be a lot different from tournaments I've gone to the past, especially from the ones for the Out of the Basement group. And that's really because they really redefined their own tournament and changed it. In the past, it was just going to be Fantasy and 40K. Then he added in the War Machine, and now they really went to the next step and said, hey, let's make it more of a convention where you come here and there's lots of different systems. Now, in doing that, of course, they still just have the 2 days. So instead of a 2-day tournament for Fantasy, now it's just the single day because they have all the other systems to cover for the other ones. Now, with this here, they still want to make sure you have enough games, so they went with 1,600 points, so you still have time to get 4 games in 1 day. Now, with this 1,600 points, in order to try and make it so that it was still a little bit more balanced, they said no special characters, probably so you don't have like Throg and something like that, a bunch of trolls, and then they also said no lords. Now, that really has a big effect on the armies you're going to take, and definitely for myself here too, but we'll go on that in a second. 2 other things you really have to keep in mind, 3 actually, is the whole idea that, first of all, there's going to be blood and glory in every single game. And it's not a whole like, okay, you broke, I win type thing. It's more that the first person to break the other opponent gets 250 points. Bam, right there. And that's really critical because normally you need 100 points to get the win. In this one, you need a difference of 300. And to get basically a major massacre, it needs to be 1,000 points difference. The other part here, too, is that for every piece of terrain you control, it's an extra 100 points. And you control these by having a unit with fortitude. So either being a unit with a banner, your general, or a BSB. So really pushing you to have more units and units with banners. So really kind of changing your list there. The other thing, too, that they did is they actually went and told you the scenarios. So we knew right off the bat that there was going to be Watchtower, there was going to be Dawn Attack, there was going to be Meeting Engagement, and then there was going to be, I can't remember the other one. Maybe this regular game, can't remember right now. But with that all in mind, I really had a hard time deciding what list I wanted to take. Now, you know, I could go with my regular big tough orcs, but I don't really have the lore to go behind it, and I want to try something different. What's going to be good at the small point level there? Also, another rule is no unit can be over 400 points. So the big block of black orcs, you couldn't do that, too many points. Big black block of the Savage Orc Biggins, can't do that, too many points. So what could I use that would actually be good at this? One of the ones I thought of was my Wood Elves. Wood Elves could do well, but there is Watchtower, and we're not so good at Watchtower. Okay, well, maybe I could go with my Vampire Counts, and I could go crazy ethereal and just like beat guys that way. Well, that could work, but I bet you a lot of guys are planning for that, taking those magical weapons and stuff, and it just won't really work. Now, one of the things that people wanted me to take was my Lizardmen. And they can do fairly well at this, right? A lot of skinks to go around and shoot down a lot of the units I expected to see. I mean, one of the things I should say, too, is with this, I expected to see a lot of other people go for that same idea, right? They're going to take the Wood Elves. Dark Elves, of course, are going to be a big one because they're the latest army. They have a lot of fast stuff. They have a lot of strong stuff. And then probably the High Elves, too, right? A lot of the Elves I expected to see. So the good thing with skinks is I can shoot those guys down. If I see a lot of monsters, they can poison those things, and then the swords can come back and do the real fighting. The problem is that I didn't really have a lot of the banners there, especially on the skinks, so I kind of went and pushed them to the side. What I went with in the end then was with my Night Goblins. And I said, hey, you know what, the Night Goblins, if it's something really nasty, I can tie it up. I have all the war machines I need so that Doom Divers can kill those annoying fast cap things like Warlocks and stuff. If they do take monsters, I can smash them with my Rock Labas. You know, even if I go against the nasty thing like the big huge unit of the Witches with a Cauldron, all right, put the Stone Thrower onto that Cauldron, try and destroy it. The Doom Divers going at the Witches. And 2, I was going to go with 100 Night Goblins with the spears and 100 Night Goblins with the bows. And those bows could really go and whittle those guys down too before combat. So that was the plan. For my general, at first I want to take a goblin war boss. Can't do it, no lords. So I'm going to have a goblin hero. I'm going to then go with my night goblin BSB, like I always take. I'm going to go with 2 heroes, night goblins with great weapons. Throw them in there, get some extra punch. And that's really it. Now, because I have no magic, I'll take the fireball ring. Put that on my orc big boss, my general, and at least pew pew, I can do a little bit of shooting there, right? So that's not too bad. Then, like I was talking about, 100 orcs or night goblins with the spears, banner, and the nets. 100 night goblins with the short bows, the banner, and the nets. 20 with shields, hand weapon shield, and the banner to be my bunker. Then I'm going to go with 30 squigs, going for a squig herd with the 10 handlers behind, and then 2 dune divers, 2 rock lobas. Done. Good to go. Now, after I was done this army and I submitted it, then I realized that there was something else different about this tournament, which is the whole idea that they were going 4x4. Now, there's a couple of reasons why this could be going on. I never really asked their reasoning, but I can make the assumption that, first of all, because it's a convention, they want to get as many games in there as possible, systems rather, that they want to compress space. So 4x4, all of a sudden you're taking up less space, there's more room for the other games. Okay. The other thing, too, is it's also a smaller game, right? If you look at it and say, normally you play around a 2,400-point game, well, if you take off a third of that, that's 1,600 points. If you go 6 feet wide and take off a third of that, that's 4 feet. So by point size and by space-wise, that's why they probably did it. The problem is, though, is that going into this type of a system then with my night goblins and running 3 hordes, well, all of a sudden I thought, well, this will be great, right? Because I'm going to be covering the whole board. You can't even run around me, right? Screw you, witch elves. Well, or I guess more wood elves, rather. The other problem, though, too, is then I realized, well, there's also going to be that watchtower in the very center of every board. And if I have 3 hordes on a 4x4 with a big building in the center, maybe some other impassable too, there's going to be woods in there, stuff like that, this might not work out the way I'd hoped. It even got even worse, well, kind of for me, when I went to go and pack up my army and my night goblins were not all there. I let my kids go downstairs, they play with my stuff, and even though I know for a fact that I have 150 night goblins with spears painted, I have 120 with short bows painted, and I have at least 30 with the hand weapon shield painted, when I started putting them together, they just weren't all there. So, at least I had enough to do the 100 with spears. For the ones with the hand weapons, I had to throw in a couple of spears in there too, just to make it work out. But then for the short bows, all I could find was 72. I don't know where they hid the other ones. And so what was I going to do with this? The list was already submitted. Luckily, I went and I emailed the TO and they said, it's all right, you can change it. And what I did then is I took out 30 of them. So now it's 70 with the short bows. And instead I added in a night goblin on a cave squig with the spear, light armor, enchanted shield. So now he's a 3+ save. He's hopping around. And he's another guy that can deal with fast cav or something else getting behind my lines. And stuff too, where, if something's fleeing, I can try getting into them and just automatically destroying them. So probably not the best choice, especially because before this, a lot of the short range shooting had nothing good to shoot at. Now I'll probably be going after this guy, trying to kill him off. So he will be a little bit of a weak point probably. But hey, I have to do what I have to do. And either way, he might be really good against this fast cap stuff. So there you go. There's the list. Really what I'm hoping to do from this is, of course, in every game or every tournament, I'm hoping to win more than I lose. So that's really the big one there. I do think I'll probably do well with it. I don't know how well, but it's one of these things where that's really what it comes down to. I know there's a lot of guys coming from Calgary, the other close town. They're going to really try and kick our butts here. So, that's what they always try and do. So I want to kind of do well against them. But really, I'm just there to have some fun. We got the night goblins out, and we're gonna do some stabby stabby. We're gonna do some pew pew, and we'll see what happens. So the Bellaports will be coming up. Then I'll do a summary at the end, and I hope you guys like it. Bye.